Passage 4, numbers 34 to 44 from test number 2. Number 34, planned obsolescence, a practice at which products are designed to have a limited period of usefulness. So this is a kind of a weird question. We know a practice at which doesn't make sense. You don't practice at something, right? It's not a practice at something. It's a practice by something, by which would work. So if this were by which, that would be fine because it's a practice by which products are designed to have a limited period of usefulness. So for that reason, at which and from which isn't going to work. A practice so that products are designed, again, not quite what we're looking for. We're looking for something like a practice by which products are designed, or according to which, something like that. So whereby, this is kind of a weird word. This is a kind of old school way of saying by which. So a practice whereby products are designed to have a limited period of usefulness. This is a tricky kind of idiom question. Well, hopefully you won't see many of these on your real test, maybe at worst one of this difficulty. Best thing you can do if you don't know what this expression means, just eliminate the ones that you don't know, that you know for sure don't work, and then make your best guess. So in this case, we're going to get choice D. Limited period of usefulness has been a cornerstone of manufacturing strategy for the past 80 years. This approach increases sales, but it also stands in austere contrast. Let's go back to the usefulness one. Planned obsolescence, a practice at which products are designed to have a limited period of usefulness, has been a cornerstone of manufacturing. So notice we have a definition. This whole thing between commas is in a positive phrase describing planned obsolescence. So we're okay with having 2 commas here. There's no reason to add a dash, certainly not a semicolon, and getting rid of the comma will leave us with 1 comma instead of 2. So we're totally fine with the original. We want to have 2 commas because this is in a positive phrase in the middle of the sentence. So we will keep the comma after that word. So choice A. Moving on to 36. This approach increases sales, but it also stands in austere contrast to a time when goods were produced to be durable. So austere is not the right word in this context. We don't say in austere contrast. We look at the choices, the one that works the best. This is a pure diction question. Also kind of vocabulary to a certain extent. The right word in this context is stark, but it stands in stark contrast, right? It's in very clear, well-defined, conspicuous contrast. That's what we're looking for here. Austere means like sparse, not ornate, plain, simple, even harsh. That's not quite what we're looking for here. You would describe, for example, someone's house maybe as austere, or someone's demeanor as austere. You wouldn't say in austere contrast, nor egregious, nor unmitigated. So this is one of those diction ones where you got to kind of know that the expression is stand in stark contrast. And unfortunately, that's about it. So again, another pretty tricky question in terms of diction and in word choice. Let's move on to the next one. Planned obsolescence wastes materials as well as energy in making and shipping new products. It also reinforces the belief that it is easier to replace goods than to mend them, as repair shops are rare and repair methods are often specialized. So which choice provides information that best supports the claim made by the sentence? So we need the one that supports the claim. The claim is that there's a belief that it is easier to replace goods than to mend them. And our first example of this, or first reason, is that repair shops are rare. And that makes sense. So if you think repair shops are rare, or if repair shops are rare, you will think that it's easier just to go out and replace goods than to try to mend or to fix them, right? If there's no repair shop, might as well just get a new one. So we need another example that gives that same kind of support. When we look at the original, repair methods are often specialized. That's interesting because if repair methods are specialized, if it's hard to repair, let's say your TV, then if your TV breaks and if there's no repair shop nearby, it's going to be easier to just go get a new TV rather than try to fix it yourself or find a repair shop somewhere. So the original actually looks pretty good. It's supporting the idea that people think it's easier to replace goods than to mend them. Obsolete goods can become collectible items. That doesn't make any kind of sense to what's going on here. No one knows whether something will fall into disrepair again. Again, that doesn't really give us any reason why people would think it's easier to replace than to mend, right? Either way, if you get a new one or if you repair your old broken one, your object, it's still possible that it could break again, so that's not really a difference between new and used goods. Again, C is just not very clear compared to choice A about why people would think it's easier to replace goods than to mend them. New designs often have bugs that must be worked out. If anything, that's an argument against getting new goods. It's in some sense be an argument for repairing them. So D, if anything, is the opposite of what we're looking for. So our best choice here, the most logical, is choice A. More like a fair than an actual cafe, the first repair cafe took place in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. So this one is a situation where this is the wrong then. We need it to be THAN. So right away, A and D are gone. The fair is this is the right spelling of the word fair here, F-A-I-R, because it's like a place you go for to sell things or to enjoy shows or games, whatever, right? A fair. That is exactly what we want here. We want the than with a THAN. So for diction, we're going to go with choice B. It was the brainchild of former journalist Martine Postma, wanting to take a practical stand in a throwaway culture. So here we've got a participial phrase at the end of the sentence, but therefore it's going to apply to it, not to Martine Postma, who it should apply to due to this comma. So we're probably going to want to change this into something like C, who wanted. Now the who refers back directly to Postma. It's clear that she's the one who wanted to do this. D gives you a comma splice, no good. B, whom, is the wrong one because she is the one doing the action. She wants to take a practical stand, so she's the subject. Therefore, you would use who. And we've already established that simply wanting is not good enough. So 39 is going to be C. Her goals were straightforward, however. Reduced waste, maintain and perpetuate knowledge and skills, and strengthen community. In the original, we have this however, and the question is, do we want contrast? And when we read the sentences around this, there's no sense we want this to contrast with anything else. So A is gone. C, nonetheless, is kind of like nevertheless, which is a form of contrast, not going to work here. Therefore shows cause and effect, but it's not clear at all what this is the conclusion of. All we really want here is just the straight up sentence. Her goals were straightforward, reduce waste, maintain and perpetuate knowledge, etc., etc. So we're good with D. It's the shortest. We don't need any of these words here to improve the transition or the flow of the sentence. These are examples of her goals and what her ways were to, what she wanted to do to take a practical stand in throwaway culture. She wanted to do these things, her goals. No reason for any of these additional words. So we'll go with choice D. Let's see. Participants bring all manner of damaged articles, clothing, appliances, furniture, and more, to be repaired by a staff of volunteer specialists, including tailors, electricians, and carpenters. Since the inaugural Repair Cafe, others have been hosted in theater foyers, community centers, hotels, and auditoriums. While they await for service, patrons can enjoy coffee and snacks and mingle with their neighbors in need. So await is the wrong word here, right? It's while they wait for service, or something like that. So we can get rid of this. C is good, except it changes the tense. We want this to be present tense. Notice mingle, can enjoy. Those are all present tense. Awaiting is the same problem as the original await. So D, while waiting for service, patrons can enjoy. This creates that participial phrase which describes what the patrons are doing. So we're happy with choice D. 42. To make the paragraph most logical, sentence 5 should be placed. Okay, this question is another example of the College Board not quite being very good with their questions. This one is not very good question. Their explanation is actually nonsensical. So let me just run through this one quickly. The idea here is we're going to want to put this sentence after sentence 3, so right here, because we want to talk about all the other locations in which these repair cafes have been held before we get into a discussion of the kinds of things that they bring with them to the fair. So we want to establish the locations first. Looking at the choices, we don't want to keep where it is now because this separates the discussion of people bringing their objects and waiting for service. So this is just breaking the flow where it is now. Putting it before sentence 1 doesn't make sense because we haven't even established the cafe. And doing it after sentence 6 doesn't make sense because we want to put this earlier in the passage where we're talking about the cafe in general rather than these specific things occurring in the cafe. So for that reason, we would want it in C. So this question's not good. I mean, at the very least, you can get rid of A, B, and D, but frankly, their explanation for why C is right is nonsensical. And let me explain why. What we would expect based on this sentence, this discussion of where these repair cafes are held, is we would expect this to follow a sentence that talked about where the initial cafe was held. Like what place? Was it in like an auditorium or in a school or something? None of these sentences say anything about the specific location of where this cafe occurred. Sure, it tells us it's in the Netherlands, but it doesn't tell us at all where it was held specifically, and therefore this sentence doesn't really make sense, frankly, much of anywhere if you look at it that way. They claim you put it after sentence 3 because apparently sentence 3 tells us where the repair cafe was held, but that is simply false. So I think this is a bad question. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just remember what we've said about sentence placement. It's got to be logical. It's got to be on topic in that portion of the passage. Keep sentences discussing similar things together to maintain that flow. So don't worry too much about this one, but it is choice C. Okay. Though only about 3% of the Netherlands' municipal waste ends up in landfills, repair cafes still raise awareness about what may otherwise be mindless acts of waste by providing a venue for people to share and learn valuable skills, that are in danger of being lost. It is easy to classify old but fixable items as junk in an era that places great emphasis on the next big thing. In helping people consider how the goods they use on a daily basis work and are made, repair cafes restore a sense of relationship between human beings and material goods. So we want to add this sentence. Is this appropriate to add here? As the number of corporate and service-based jobs has increased, the need for people who work with their hands has diminished. Notice this does kind of make sense in context a little bit, in the sense that it's talking about that these valuable skills are being lost, and I guess it's because people aren't working with their hands. On the other hand, we're introducing this idea of the increase of corporate and service jobs, which is completely off topic. This paragraph is not about people working. It's about fixing stuff that's broken and trying to not treat stuff as junk, try to restore the relationship between human beings and goods, to improve the way people fix and interact with their objects rather than just throwing them out at the first sign of being old or broken. So on the one hand, it kind of fits, but really it doesn't, because we're not talking about jobs, we're not talking about work, so it is off topic. So we're going to not include it. Yes, it provides an example of a specific repair skills being lost. It does not provide a specific example. Yes, it elaborates on the statistic about the Netherlands municipal waste. No, even if you thought yes were correct, neither of the reasonings make any sense. So we can definitely get rid of A and B. No, because it blurs the paragraph's focus. In other words, off topic, by introducing a topic that is not further explained. Very good. No, because it contradicts the claims made in the rest of the paragraph. It does not do that. The problem is choice C. Last one. Though the concept remained a local trend at first, international repair cafes, all affiliated with Dutch Repair Cafe via its website, have since arisen in France, Germany, South Africa, the United States, and other countries on top of that. So, number one, this is super informal. On top of that, that's just kind of awkward and strange for this tone of this essay. So for that reason, we can get rid of A. The question is, do we need in addition and likewise when we've already established that it's other countries? We've got this list and other countries. These are just redundant. They're not adding anything to the sentence. They're just adding words. So all we need to do here is just delete this phrase. Perfectly fine to end the sentence with and other countries. So this one is choice D.